He is God's minister to you for good. But if you do evil, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. This is Ministry of the Badge.
Today on Ministry of the Badge, this episode is going to be part 2 of the one we did last week when we talked about suicide and the attempted suicide by the jailer. If you did not hear that episode and you're just listening to the show for the first time, I would urge you to go back and listen to it. But if you don't and you continue to listen to this one, I hope it finds you well. And I hope this message is for you. Today we're going to study 1 Samuel, and we're going to talk about 2 different men. But the first one we're going to start out with is King Saul. King Saul is the very first king chosen by the people and given the position and blessed by the prophet Samuel. Saul, by all indications, was a donkey herder, chosen because he was a big guy and, people wanted a king, so God said, okay, I'll give you a king. Though I want to be your king, I'll give you what you want. And so they got what they want in Saul. Saul's impetuous. He pretty much, he listens to the prophet Samuel, but he begins to be full of himself. And in 1 Samuel 10, Samuel tells Saul, look, all of these incidents are about to happen to you, and you're going to go to war with the Philistines. And when you see all these incidents happen to you, just meet me at the place that you're going to do battle. Wait 7 days. You're going to have things to sacrifice. People are going to bring you sacrifices, but just hang on. I'll be there. Wait 7 days. I'll come there, make the sacrifices, and I will show you then what to do. But in 1 Samuel 13, 8 through 12, this is what happened. Now, mind you, go to Gilgal and wait for me there. 7 days. I'll come, make sacrifices, and then I'll tell you what the rest of to do. Oh, no. So he waited 7 days, the time appointed by Samuel, but Samuel did not come to Gilgal. The people were scattering from him. So things are going bad, right? Philistines are attacking. The battle's going on. Saul sees everybody scared, right? Pressure's coming down on this guy. So Saul said, bring the burnt offerings here to me and the peace offering. And he offered the burnt offering. Now, those of you who don't read the Bible and maybe not understand, or maybe you've never heard this story before, look, you don't do that as a king. Only the prophets and certain priests were able to make sacrifices to God, not King Saul. But he decides on his own accord to make the offerings himself. And so he offers the offerings, and as soon as he's done, here comes Samuel. Right? Hey, I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I waited. But, man, things are going bad, so I'm going to take matters in my own hands, and I'm going to do what I need to do. Remember, he was told, wait 7 days, I'll come, make a sacrifice, and then tell you what to do. He didn't do that. Disobeyed God. Saul sees Samuel. Hey, Samuel, hey, what's up, man? Samuel says he sees him. what have you done? Saul said, well, when I saw the people were scattering from me and that you did not come with the days appointed and that the Philistines had mustered at Michmash, I said, now the Philistines will come down against me at Gilgal. See, he's thinking, right? He's thinking. That's his problem. He's thinking. So I forced myself and offered the burnt offerings. And Samuel said to Saul, you have done foolishly. You have not kept the command of the Lord your God, which he commanded you. For then the Lord would have established your kingdom over Israel forever. But now your kingdom shall not continue. The Lord has sought out a man after his own heart, and the Lord has commanded him to be prince over his people, because you have not kept what the Lord commanded. So this guy, by all indication, does what he wants to do. And we're given free will to do what we want to do. So he disobeys God. And he goes ahead, makes sacrifices. So he's doing the complete wrong thing. And Samuel says, look, man, you're done. You could have just waited. The kingdom would have been yours. And now you decided to do this. Oh, but it gets better. You think he would learn his lesson the first time. He doesn't. Now you go to 1 Samuel 15. 1 Samuel 15. And actually you go back. Samuel tells Saul, and actually before that, right after the incident with the sacrifices, Samuel says, okay, man, look, here's what the rest of the plan is. You're going to go to the Amalekites. You're going to kill every single one of them. You're going to kill all of their sheep, all of the people, save none. Kill them all. God says, kill them all. Saul goes in, kills everybody except the king, takes some of the fatted calves, takes some of the booty, and he decides that he once again is going to make sacrifices with some of the stolen lambs and stuff that he gets. He was told, destroy it all. Nobody wants your dirty stuff. Once again, Saul disobeys. Now, the interesting part about this disobedience this time around, remember Samuel had already told him, look, you're done, man. Well, now this time it sticks. Because as Samuel is delivering the message to Saul about what's going to happen to him, and because he disobeyed, Saul falls on his knees in anguish. He's in anguish, right? He's feeling bad. Last time around, he was like, oh, Samuel, hey, you're here, man. And this time around, he's like, oh, I feel so bad. See, he's in anguish, right? He drops down. He's begging him. Come on, man, please, Samuel, don't do this. And he grabs onto him and he hanging on to Samuel's cloak and it rips away. Now he's hanging on to just a ragged piece of his life, right? In that one little piece of cloth that he's hanging on to. See, he's hanging on to his one little, he's not letting go of his anguish. He's hanging on to it. See, he's in anguish and he's hanging on to it. And Samuel said, just like that robe ripped away from you, so is your kingdom going to be ripped away from you. Because you decided to hang on to it. I told you not to hang on. I told you to obey. You decided to hang on. So there's King Saul. He doesn't obey. Samuel has to finish the job of what he was supposed to do. But this guy still doesn't learn. See how this is building up? This is all about prideful self, taking upon self, not letting go of the anguish and just hanging on to the anguish himself. And he's trying everything he can to fix it because, see, he has an answer, right? He's got the answer. So what does he do? Well, now Samuel dies. Meanwhile, David is doing his thing. He's fighting wars. He's doing all this stuff. Saul's been hunting this guy the whole time. Figures out later on it's David. He was the prince in waiting. Waiting for what? Waiting for this guy to finally self-destruct, right? Self-destruction. The pride of self-destruction. Just hanging on, man. I got the answers. I can do this. I'll get myself out. First Samuel 28. 1 Samuel 28. 28:18. That's where Samuel says to him, because you did not obey the voice of the Lord. Now, this is another instance where he's talking to Samuel, but this time around, Saul is, the battle's not going real well. Samuel's dead. He finds out Samuel's dead. And now Saul is like, oh man, Samuel's dead. This King David, the David dude is doing all this stuff. I've got to go do something. Hey, go find me a medium. Go find me something who can draw up spirits. So this guy, and by the way, he passed a law that he said that no one should talk to the dead and seek out spirit, right? He outlaws this. No, now he decides to break his own law. Notice this is all about him. And he's decided he's going to break his own law. This is again taking matters into his own hands. So he asks this witch of Endor, right? Endor. Probably no Ewoks on that, in that particular Endor, but yeah. Anyway, he calls a witch. She calls up Samuel. Now, I'm not here to debate the passage about whether it was Samuel, whether it was not. I believe it was, and I've read many commentaries on that. Again, it's not about that particular commentary. But for the sake of this, he calls up Samuel. Samuel simply reiterates to him, the ghost of Samuel, whatever you want to say, he reiterates to Saul, you blew it. He told you that God told you this before. He told you the kingdom was going to be ripped from you, and now I'm going to give you even more. Not only is your kingdom torn away, tomorrow, you and your kids, you and your sons are dead. You'll be with me. You'll be dead like me. So Saul's sitting there with the witch, doesn't say what's going to, he just says, you're dead, man. You're dead. You're so full of pride. You're so full of self. You're so, you just can't let go, can you? So here's how this works. And watch what happens. 1 Samuel 28:18. Because you did not obey the voice of the Lord and did not carry out his fierce wrath against Amalek, therefore the Lord has done this thing to you this day. Moreover, the Lord will give Israel also with you into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons shall be with me. The Lord will give the army of Israel also into the hand of the Philistines. Then Saul, watch what he does. Like the jailer, right? Like the jailer. Then Saul fell at once full length on the ground, filled with fear because of the words of Samuel. And there was no strength in him, for he had eaten nothing all day and all night. And the woman came to Saul, and when she saw that Saul was terrified, she said to him, behold, your servant has obeyed you. Her. I have taken my life in my hands and have listened to what you have said to me. Now, therefore, and he's guilted now. Hey, you can't take this out on me, and just to show you I'm a nice person. Now, therefore, you also obey your servant. Let me set a morsel of bread before you. See what he's doing? He throws himself. Remember, he's in as much anguish now. He was in anguish while he was still alive, but he's still hanging on to that same anguish, right? Second time around, he's still hanging on. And what's he doing? He throws himself down on the ground. But what did the jailer do that Saul is not doing? Watch. Now, therefore, verse 22, now, therefore, you also obey your servant. Now she's commanding him. Boss lady says, okay, now you do what I need you to do now. Let me set a morsel of bread before you and eat, that you might have some strength when you go on your way. He refused and said, I will not eat. But his servants together with the woman urged him, and he listened to their words. So he rose from the earth and sat on the bed. Now the woman had a fattened calf in the house, and she quickly killed it, and she took flour and kneaded it, and baked unleavened bread of it, and she put it before Saul and his servants, and they ate. Then they rose, and away they went. What did the jailer do? I would argue that the anguish that the jailer felt and Saul felt were probably just as real to them as people. Saul wasn't faking his anguish. He knew, just like the jailer thought he was going to get killed, probably enough that he wasn't going to face whatever it was. Saul has been faced now with this. But Saul does what humans do. I can do this myself. No, I don't want any food. Okay, I'll eat some food, right? And listens to who? The witch. The witch. And of course, there are friends around him that says, yeah, man, you better eat. Come on, dude. I know you feel bad, but we can get through this. Don't worry about it. We can do this. Ain't no mention of God anywhere in this. Ain't no mention of forgiveness anywhere in this. No, he's just going to do what he knows to do. Yeah, eat, drink, and be merry for tomorrow, right? Cover it up with food, cover it up with drink, cover it up with something that's going to make you feel better. Just hang on to it. It'll kind of get masked over, right? It'll be a Band-Aid put over that. What happens the next time around? What happens when you're trying to deal with this all the time, right? You didn't want to deal with it. You know, people have told you, given you advice, but you didn't want to deal with it. No. Just hang on to it. Guys, you know, we don't share we don't share our feelings, you know, we're too manly. I mean, I'm a king. I should be able to figure this out, right? I mean, I came here. Right. Do what you think is right. Yeah, of course. And you're free to do that. Yes, you can. But what happens when the next bout comes? What happens? Because you know it's coming. The devil does not just allow these things to go away and for you to hang on to them on your own. It was never intended to be that way. But this is exactly what Saul's doing. Let's go to 1 Samuel 31, 3 through 6. 1 Samuel 31, 3 through 6. It says this. The battle pressed hard. He's in the midst of the battle now. Philistines are fighting against him. He's on Mount Gilboa. This dude's in trouble. The battle pressed hard against Saul. They're coming at him from all sides. And the archers found him, and he was badly wounded. Doesn't say he was dead. He was badly wounded, so he's hurting. Right? Again, he's in anguish. This time, it's physical pain. All of the food, all of the alcohol, all of those things. Now he's hurting. He's literally hurting because he got shot with arrows. Archers, plural, found him. This dude is not going to make it. At least that's what he thinks. But watch what he does. Then Saul said to his armor bearer, "Draw your sword and thrust me through with it, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through and mistreat me." Look, man, you got to kill me before they torture me. We see movies like this all the time. Not what is save the last bullet for yourself, all those type of things that we hear. Here it is in the Bible. But notice what he does first. I ain't going to do it. I'm going to have this guy do it. Let this guy live with the fact that he killed the king. Hey, man, you got to kill me. No, I ain't doing it. But his armor bearer would not, for he feared greatly. His armor bearer's like, "No, man, I ain't doing that." He knows the result. These guys, man, I get caught, they're going to say that I killed the guy. I ain't doing it. So Saul's going to do the suicide by cop thing. The problem is he can't find anybody to do it. See the thoughts that are going through Saul's mind? You see how it just doesn't just happen? And this starts with disobedience. This comes down to, I'm going to take care of this stuff myself. I don't need this. I don't need the church. I don't need any of this stuff. I don't need to listen to my boss, my wife, my kids, my whatever. I don't need any of that. I can handle it. I can handle it. I can handle it. I can handle it. Till you can't. Until you can't. Anguish. Distraught. Hurt. In this particular case, he's physically hurt, but this guy's been hurt before. Brought upon the things that he's done. And now he falls on his sword. Kids were just killed. No cry for help. No asking to be forgiven. Just decides, I can do it myself. And he does. Isn't that interesting? Let's take a look at our second subject. Second subject we're going to be dealing with today is another man that people have heard of. That Judas Iscariot. And we're going to take a look at a couple passages about Judas. See if you notice some similarities with King Saul. Here's an interesting passage that as I was studying this subject to see, because I didn't want to just tackle this subject and come off as I'm being so judgmental against people that I don't understand their anguish and so on and so forth. I could never say that because I don't understand and I don't always know the pain that people are in. I couldn't do it. I've seen hundreds of people that have been in pain. I've been to suicidal scenes where people have taken their life. And again, as I told you, I had 3 friends that took their own lives. So this is no judgment upon anybody. I just want you to see in the Bible what it talks about. The heart of man makes all the difference in the world, and the disobedience against God makes a huge difference. And yes, are there Christians, quote unquote, that have committed suicide that I have heard of? Yes, but the argument, we don't know exactly what goes on with them. So should I say they were Christians? I don't know. This is what you hear. But here is a man who was chosen and walked with Jesus, chosen by Jesus in Judas. Matthew 27:5. Actually, let's go back and look at one other passage before we look at Matthew 27:5. John chapter 12. I'll start with verse 1, just read down because it'll kind of set up the scene. Not kind of, it does. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus therefore came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, whom Jesus has raised from the dead. So they gave a dinner for him there. Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those reclining with him at the table. Mary therefore took a pound of expensive ointment made from pure nard and anointed the feet of Jesus and wiped his feet with her hair. Very humbling thing that she did. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume, but Judas Iscariot, this will give you a little bit of insight on this guy. Not a little bit, a lot. But Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, he who was about to betray him, said, listen to what he's saying now. Judas is all about himself, right? Why was this ointment not sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor? He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief, and having charge of the money bag, he used to help himself to what was put into it. Jesus knew the heart of this man. John writes, yeah, that dude didn't care nothing about money. He didn't care nothing about giving to the poor. That dude only cared about money. And he used to skim. This guy was an old-time till skimmer. All about himself. All about the money. I can handle it. He even walked with Jesus. Saw Jesus heal people. You obviously saw him raise Lazarus from the dead. People walked around, oh, hey, it's Judas. Hey, he's one of those guys. Huh? Yeah. He had knowledge of everything Jesus did. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. There he is. But his heart. He had the heart of a thief. All about himself and the money. Isn't that something? He knows about Jesus, hangs with Jesus. That does not mean that he accepted Jesus. That does not mean that Judas was, by all accounts, Christian. He played the part. It gets interesting as we go on. Now let's take a look at Luke chapter 22. Luke chapter 22, verse 3 through 6 says this. Then Satan entered into Judas called Iscariot, who was of the number of their 12. He went away and conferred with the chief priests and officers how he might betray him to them. Him who? Jesus. And they were glad, and they agreed to give him money. So he consented and sought an opportunity to betray him to them in the absence of a crowd. Remember, this guy walked with him, talked with him, ate with him, saw him perform miracles, preached about him, talked about him, said all the things about him, right? Played the good part, but in his heart, he was dirty inside. But basically, it's this. Jesus says man's heart, every bad thought comes from us. We did the ministry of evil. Jesus knew the heart of Judas. Because when Judas comes to Jesus and they're dipping bread, and the scene is they're all sitting around and Jesus says, look, one of you are about to betray me. And Judas says, well, is it me, Lord? And Jesus looks at him and says, well, it's as you said. It's as you said. You said it. So he knows the heart of this man. He gave him every opportunity to come to know him and to serve him. But instead, Judas continuously served himself. See the thing with Saul? Saul, picked as king, continued to serve himself. Judas served himself, helped himself to the money. These guys are giving offering. This dude's skimming from the tills. Right? He's helping himself. Saul helped himself. Judas helped himself. You're given free will. Yes, you can do the things that you're doing. Absolutely. You can. But is it the right path to follow? Doing it yourself. Look at your life and you say, yeah. Those of you who may go to church, or you play the church part, right? You go to church, you play the church part. People, yeah, see, hey, brother, right? You go to work. But are you serving yourself? These two guys served themselves. Skimming tills. Skimming from the money bag. Making sacrifices on his own accord. Watch what happens. Matthew 27:5. Now we'll go to Matthew 27:5. Actually, we'll back up just a little bit. 27:3. Then when Judas, his betrayer, saw that Jesus was condemned, So Judas, somewhere along the line, must have saw the whole trial with Pilate played out, because he said once he saw he was condemned, once he knew he was done, Judas sees the full essence of what he just did by betraying Jesus. Jesus is now condemned to death. He had to be sitting in the crowd. He has to know that this is going on. He got caught in his selfishness. And his selfishness just didn't affect him. I mean, 30 pieces of silver. Bible doesn't say what he planned on doing with 30 pieces of silver. I mean, what did he think was going to happen? Now, mind you, all of this had to play out. This was also predicted. Matthew 27:3 says this. Then when Judas, his betrayer, saw that Jesus was condemned, he changed his mind and brought back the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders, saying, I have sinned by betraying innocent blood. So he confesses to these guys, right? Goes to other men, cries out loud, I've done this. Doesn't say, forgive me. He just said, I've done this. Yep, he confesses, right? He confesses to the priest. And they said, what's this to us? See to it yourself. Take care of yourself, Judas. Hey, man, you took the gold. Remember, Satan entered into him. He's filling his heart with lies, and this is what Satan does. Right? Everything seems like a good idea because it's being whispered in your ear. It's building into your confidence that you can take care of it. Until you can't. Until you can't. Judas at this point could run back, right? Couldn't he run back to Jesus? Couldn't he go find? Couldn't he go to the rest of the disciples? Couldn't he go? Yeah, he could have. He absolutely could have. But in his mind, these guys just told him, take care of it yourself. You see, that's what Satan does. That's what Satan does. He lies and said, oh, don't worry, you could drink it away. You can do all these things. You could do it yourself. Hey, man, it's not my problem. He throws the pieces of silver, verse 5, into the temple. He departed, and he went, and he hanged himself. Then the priests decide, they see the money. They know what the money is for because they gave it to him. They know that Jesus is condemned. And they also know, they probably found out later on, that the way this all plays out, somebody finds his body later on. They take those 30 pieces of silver, they buy the land that Judas hangs himself on. How do you know this? Because later on in Acts, Peter talks about this act. So we find out a little bit more. Do you realize that guy's body hung there and rotted away until his body blew up and his guts spilled out, his bloated body spilled out all over the ground, and they called that ground the ground of blood? Judas hanged himself. Affects everybody around him. Hangs there. No one cuts him down, because being hung on a tree is a curse unto God. He knows this. and yet he still did it. While there's another man hung on a tree to save your sins. And his body was put into a grave, and he rose again. And that's Jesus Christ. Judas's body hung on a tree till it rotted and spilled out all over the ground. Notice the similarities in the two men. Both of them decided that they could take care of it. One of them was even told, take care of it yourself. That's what the devil says consistently. Take care of it yourself. It's the only way out. That's your only means you're going to escape from this pain. You screwed up. You screwed up bad. What you did can't possibly be forgiven. Your kids are going to be messed up. Everybody's going to be messed up. You're better off dead. Go with it. Look at how much pain you're in. Look at how much anguish you're in. Look at how much you can't handle. But you can do something about it. You have a service pistol. You have a rope. You have a car. You have whatever means. You can do this. That's what he says. That's what the devil continuously does. He lies, and he's the father of lies, and he seeks to destroy you. His schemes and all his plans are to do one thing, and that is to destroy you. The anguish that you feel is absolutely real. The anguish and the guilt and the feelings that Judas felt were absolutely real. The literal pain and anguish that Saul felt with the arrows penetrating his body was absolutely real. The tearing away of his kingdom away from him was absolutely real. But there was another man who felt that exact same anguish and pain. And I'll read you about that man. This man felt the same pain you did and do. He felt Saul's pain. He felt Judas's anguish. Turn to Luke chapter 22, verse 39. And he came out and went, as was his custom, to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. And when he came to the place, he said to them, pray that you may not enter into temptation. Remember, Jesus gave his one good sermon. Well, he gave many sermons, but he gave the one famous sermon on the Mount of Olives. And he withdrew from them about a stone's throw away and knelt down and prayed, saying, Father, he's in anguish. If you are willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. And there appeared to him an angel from heaven, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down on the ground. Jesus understands your anguish. Jesus knew in his agony to do the one thing, and that was to turn to the Father. In his statement to take the cup of wrath that he was about to ingest onto himself, he said, if we could do this any other way, but I know that's not the case, so your will be done. And he's so in anguish because he knows what's going to happen to you. He knows what's going to happen to your kids. He knows what's going to happen to everyone around you if you go through with what you want to do. That he cries out in anguish, so much so that an angel has to come and minister to him so he can drive more strength to happily go to the cross for you. The book of Hebrews says we have a priest who knows and was tempted and is in every way like we have been. He understands fully your pain. That passage there shows you this. And I know you hear my voice. And I know you hear his voice through this message. You can't do it yourself. Don't believe the lies that are being told to you. Jesus felt your pain in that instant, so much so he bled, blood dripping to the ground in sheer agony and anguish. What was about to happen to you? Won't you just throw yourself down before him and surrender all of that to the one who already took it upon himself? Don't argue. Don't try to figure out why. You've tried all that already. You need to surrender it to him. I say continuously on this show, those of you who have listened need to become a servant of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, Christ Jesus, because he loves you. And until your last breath, you will hear him say, just call on me. Just call on me. I want and I know your pain. Just call on me. Father, in the name of Jesus, let those who have heard this message call upon you. We thank you that you have taken upon that pain that we so often feel in our lives, that we cannot, in and of ourselves, take care of it, but you can. Lord, I ask that you reach out to them now in the name of Jesus, and you take it. I thank you, Father, for going to the cross on this coming Easter Sunday, that you rose again, that once we accept you, we will no longer have to face the fear of death, but we will be with you. For thine be the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever.
For he is God's minister, an avenger to execute wrath on him who practices evil. You've been listening to Ministry of the Badge.